welcome back to another episode. So today I have here with me Sean McCann. So hello, Sean. Hope you're doing well.
Greetings. Thanks for having me. I'm very glad to be here.
And we are joined back once again by Ivan Oyola. Been a while since we did the show together. So welcome back, Ivan.
Who are you again? Where am I? What the hell am I doing here? Is this music? Is this music? Is this movies? I mean, I have no idea what's happening.
Getting confusing.
Yeah, it is. I'm confused. I don't know what's real anymore. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly. Because today we, since we did our episode with Sean on where we discussed the movie Dune, the latest Dune movie, which is by the same director of the movie we're going to discuss today. So it's by Denis Villeneuve. So today we're discussing Blade Runner 2049. So another good one to discuss. And so we'll go from Dune, where there's the "thou shalt not make a machine that it's in it thinks like a human mind," to the opposite, to the exact opposite in Blade Runner with the where they did exactly that. So
where the androids dream of electric sheep.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sorry,
you said sheep, so that means our earlier conversation that probably was
it might have been a
sheep that he made.
It might have been a sheep.
That was the name.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe not a bull. I figured a bull because I'm always looking for Baal, and it's like there is Babylonian stuff in this movie, but we'll get into that later. We kind of interrupted his introduction. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, the introduction was pretty much over. But anyway, great. Yeah, we'll get into all of this.
Yeah.
So I guess I can start by saying that if you're looking for some programming, some agenda-driven programming, environmentalism, catastrophism, and getting you used to a new way of life because we are destroying the environment. So we have to be certain things we have to submit to yet another whole other set of rules. Then this is the movie you're looking for. So.
Right. Hollywood loved making this movie for sure. Doesn't matter what the characters say, as long as Hollywood gets to push those fucking ideas that inculcate the idea of like human race is bad, androids are good. Fuck it, we're gonna
a rich philanthropist will save the day.
Right. And he's a technocrat who's got like augmented body with like machines.
Transhumanism, right?
Yeah, transhumanism. Right. And
basically the backstory is that this guy, I mean, there was like it says in the beginning in the titles, in the mid 2020s. So
right,
it's gonna be the crisis of the like a huge ecosystem crisis,
right?
Basically,
ecosystem collapse.
Yes, ecosystem
and the
collapse.
Famine, because like I guess obviously something akin to global warming has happened, and all the outdoor shots are like desolate, and there's dust in the air. There's no sun. There's just this cloud cover eternally.
Exactly.
And who knows if it's chemtrails or whatever up there. And later they talk about radiation. Like some places are just no-go zones.
Yes.
So that goes along with the 2030 agenda or Agenda 2020, where they want to rewild the earth and like to have us in these central cities. And again, that's what they got here. Just like a lot of other movies, like, beyond the wall is this wilderness that no one goes,
Yeah.
And, it's all destruction. And so it's like the repeating this shit over and over, Hunger Games and like all these other movies, it just puts into our subconscious. Really what TV does in movies is it keeps us looking long enough to put stuff into our subconscious mind. Like the story is only there to hold our attention while it floods our brain with this other shit. And like you said, it's inculcating all of the ideas that Hollywood and the controllers of the people want us to have. And like we were saying, he's a technocrat, he's rich.
Because this guy is Wallace is his name, I think, Nyander Wallace or something, and as they say in the beginning, he thanks to his synthetic farming, which basically he farms these worms. He saved the world from famine.
Right.
So,
but doesn't that make you doesn't like the way that the elite have been operating is they give us the problem before they give us the solution. So who's to say he's not also responsible for the blight that has destroyed the world? You know what I mean? They don't get into that. They make it seem, like in the newspaper, it's like, oh, thank God for Bill Gates and his fucking worm burgers, but really, like, Bill Gates is destroying it while it's like, but we can assume that because
he's buying up all the farmland, and who knows what's being done on those farmlands.
Exactly. Yeah. They're making grubs, and the idea of the rebellious. Here, we'll get into that later. I don't mean to derail us. I'm kind of all over the place, but you go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, with something you put out there, building walls, they do have a wall in this movie when they show Los Angeles, the consolidated, condensed Los Angeles. It's by the ocean. You got the seawall, huge wall where they don't go over there. Everybody just stays in the city. And then the contrast, just like the first Blade Runner, that sense of isolation, like, abandonment, where you have Los Angeles, everybody's crammed together in the first one. And you got the building where, I forgot his name, the guy that builds the little dolls,
Oh, yeah.
J.F. Sebastian.
Yeah. Sebastian, right. That building, that whole apartment building, whatever, it feels abandoned, empty, like he's by himself. Right. And they do the same thing in here, where you have all of Los Angeles, all this population, everybody's on top of each other. But then when our character Joe goes to Vegas to find Harrison Ford, Deckard, it's all abandoned, it's empty. Right. It's just Deckard by himself. So, it gives you that contrast of overpopulation, but yet they show abandonment and it's like,
yes.
So, and overpopulation obviously is another thing that's in there, obviously. And you see kind of a scene that reminds me of the Soylent Green when he goes into his apartment and everybody's living in the corridors and
right, like
outside,
Charlton Heston was walking on top of people to get to his apartment. The same thing, that's like similar, here. And his apartment is spacious and it's all nice because he's one of them. He's in crowd.
He's a cop.
And also the superpower of the police, basically. So everybody when he mentions his police, everybody like freezes and sorry. Because as they say in the first movie, if you're not a cop in the city, you're no one, you're nobody. So.
Yep.
But really, it'll be like the end of Training Day when that cop is surrounded by everybody who lives there and they say, "Fuck you, motherfucker," and they stomp his face and kill him. That's a different movie. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. So this rich guy, Wallace, he's taken over Tyrell. Like, it also said in the beginning that the replicants, which are the synthetic humans, they got a will of their own. And they tried to be free, and they stopped obeying orders. And
that was the Nexus 8, right? The Nexus 8 was the last ones.
Yeah, I think the Nexus 6 were the ones that he was chasing in the first movie,
right?
And then the Nexus 8 were the last ones that didn't have a lifespan,
right?
They could just live forever or whatever, And
then the new ones are the ones that obey,
right? The new ones are the perfect slaves, basically, and so. Tyrell goes out of business because
there was a blackout.
Right.
The blackout.
No, there was a
that's
rebellion
too. Do you want to talk about the blackout? Okay.
Tyrell, who was the previous manufacturer,
monopolist,
he goes out of business because there were violent rebellions.
The rebellious ones, right.
That's the guy with the big glasses. His eyes are all like,
his face
And he has the owl. Like
that's
and he
the
lives
first
in a
movie.
pyramid. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay.
But this one is like the new slave class, basically,
right.
so to speak. And they are, and I've noticed this because they are, they pretty much are oppressed and hated by the humans,
Yes,
as they put it, because they are, they pretty much are probably envied, as I
maybe
see
so.
it, because like,
Because they don't have a lifespan and they don't fucking.
well, they are, they are, healthier, obviously, and all humans here are depicted as very sick and weak, because they have all this sickness and.
But they have free will.
Yeah, supposedly.
Supposedly.
So even the aesthetically, if you see all the humans are all are kind of ugly people,
right?
And the synthetics are more like handsome and healthier and whatever. So that creates sort of the they created this hatred for the humans have for their slaves, basically.
Right.
Not to push
just pure racism, like pure like hating of the other is a human trait that's natural.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Not to push another movie, but if you recall, if you've seen it, Free Guy, that last Ryan Reynolds movie, it has some of that also, where it takes place in the video game world mostly. And in there's a division between all the regular background characters are just the regular people. All the shit happens to them. But then the sunglass wearing people, they're the special ones. They're beautiful. They're pretty. They're the action ones. They get away with everything. So it's, again, pushing that in this fake reality. You have the special ones that are beautiful and can do no wrong. And then all the rest of the ugly people that are just whatever. They're just background noise. So the same thing kind of here.
You know what else? Wallace, this guy who he's transhuman and he's got all the money in the world and he's doing evil things, and he's doing what Nimrod was doing with ancient Babylon, trying to storm heaven and become God and create life and all this shit.
Yeah, obviously he has even his perfect little little psychopathic maniacal monologue right. But I mean, he's talking to his his fixer there, the chick, the killer synthetic
Love.
girl.
Her name is Love.
Yes.
LUV.
And he's like, oh, we lost our taste for slaves. And every great civilization is built upon slavery. So
right. So he's obviously immoral, like he's a Satanist, basically, and
yet he's at the top.
And he's at the top. And at the end of the movie, nothing happens to him.
Right.
We just forget, like, oh, whatever.
I'm hoping sequel somewhere, but yeah. Right. All the money, all the power.
Like, the love chick gets defeated. Spoiler alert, people. The love chick gets defeated, and then Deckard gets to like close he gets the
see his daughter.
Basically like resolve the open-ended emotional pains that he has, like, so like that
his character human story resolved.
The character arc, and the human story is resolved and over, but Wallace is still happening. They still live in this destroyed universe, world at least, and it's like it inculcates a learned helplessness. Like, all you can really do is like maybe fight for your own little story, but the bigger story, we don't get to
what's
learn
that
about.
Quote? It's that little battle is won, but the whole war is still yet to be, decided.
Yeah, and they sell the people, the hope for the better life of world, but we actually know that this isn't actually the case if you know a little bit of the I guess the Blade Runner lore, because of world there's all this war and
Wallace hints at it when they're gonna send at the end. That's what they're gonna send Deckard. It's like the things that can't do to you here, but we can get you to talk off world because you don't know
they have
like
those capabilities
there. Yeah,
right, exactly.
That's
like,
if you've seen,
that's like Epstein's Island. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they have a place that no one else can see, and they do it all there.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've seen like this movie called Soldier with Kurt Russell, and it's actually a Blade Runner it's actually the Blade Runner it takes place in the Blade Runner universe.
Really?
Yes.
No shit.
Yes,
that's on my list. I've seen it years ago from the late 80s.
He's a replicant. He's a military replicant that gets sent off-world to do the
with
the
Jason
war,
Scott
all the
Lee
wars.
also.
Yeah, Jason Scott Lee and Kurt Russell.
Interesting.
So you see how it even though you say, oh, silly movie, cheesy movie from the 90s, sci-fi from the 90s, but you actually see how off-world, what really is off-world, that it's not this heaven,
right.
A new life awaits you in the off-world colonies, a chance to begin again in the golden land of opportunity and adventure. Damn, I've seen it so many times that I have that imprinted in there.
Exactly.
Isn't that from Total Recall?
No, that was from
in the commercial.
Total Recall. They give you
because they have
the memory of a lifetime. Recall. But yeah.
So
the whole thing is from Blade Runner, the original.
They promise you all this, great, this, new life, etc. in the off-world.
Right.
But even because
it's almost like Christianity, isn't it?
If
don't live now, just worship anew, and then in the next life, all the rewards wait for you. So don't.
It's almost like VR. Also, don't worry about this world. Just go into your little fucking headset and
because if you so just a reminder that if you're doing things wrong here, if you live a life in in immorality and you keep doing the things that are not right, then you're not going to find you're just going to export your sick beliefs in other places, and you're just going to end up ruining them as well. So
yeah,
that's
basically. And it's like the Wallace had immorality to the max, and like that's the dude in charge, and then look at the world. And they're all like, thanks to Wallace, like we can live on grubs. But I mean, the world is destroyed because that's the macro of the mind of the people that are running it. The minds are devolved, with no care, and they just, materialism and
let me put this out there.
Immorality.
Let me throw this out there. So if you remember Daddy in the original Blade Runner, he wants more life, fucker. He wants to find his maker, his God. They're looking for more life. And now in this one, you have Wallace, who is the God. He's creating them. But yet you see at least twice in the movie, the girl that is created and falls out of the sack. And I guess she's not perfect for some reason. He just has her killed.
Yeah, she can't reproduce. She's not fertile.
She's not right. So kills her. And then when they recreate Rachel, and her eyes are green. Well, boom, gets her killed. So it's that power of God, like, give life and also, but able to just kill at will. Take it without even flinching. So it's again that psychopathic power of give life and take away life. I am God.
Yeah, and this movie also, like the first movie and the book, it's like, should we have compassion for these things? Do they have a soul? They seem to have desires of their own. And they. Like, it's really a strange idea, but I mean, if we can have compassion for animals, and we, like if you, like the androids that are creating the rebellion and fighting the evil powers, I identified with them, even though I'm a human. I see this movie and I'm like, yeah, that's my crew right there. Like this is doesn't
they basically want to be left alone.
Right. Just like any intelligent consciousness.
Sentient being, because
sentient consciousness.
Yeah, because actually, I heard Brandon Martin's latest presentation that now he put it down to re-upload it with better audio, I think. But I had the chance of listening to it on the Matrix, and he talks about it. He talks about the fact that even once you create, the dilemma is once you create a sentient form of life, then what do? You can't violate its rights, that because then you become immoral. Either you don't do it, or
I contemplated this a while back watching a show called Humans. I think it was Humans from the BBC. It was on AMC here, and I haven't even finished it yet. But there was something where humans obviously create these AI or robots, androids, but there's a point. It's like once they start thinking for themselves and feeling, or whether it's artificial or not, it's like, has that line been crossed now where it's something you created and you no longer really have control over it? You don't have the right, well, I made you, I can destroy it. No, because if that's the case, whatever made us can destroy us at will, because exactly. Hey, it made us. So it's that thing. Once that line is crossed and it's on its own living, breathing, thinking thing. So that's it, hands off. That's it, it's done. And, in this film, they also brought up that soul question too. The police chief or whatever, that Robin Wright's character, she does have a conversation with Joe and tells him, well, you don't have a soul. You don't have to worry about that, because he was asking about the baby, the child that was born. Does it have a soul? Because if it was from a replicant, and she said, well, you don't have a soul, so it doesn't matter. You don't matter. He says, I have never retired something that was born before. And she's like, oh, what's the problem? Like, well, maybe it has a soul or something. And she's like, you did, and in the end, she says, you did fine. You have been doing fine without one. And he's like, well, what's that? And she says, a soul. So you see that the human is more messed up than the.
But that's because she doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, that's right.
She's a cop and she thinks she doesn't need a soul. What do you need a soul for? I'm doing fine without it. That's when she's telling him that, she's reassuring her own self.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Because fucking cops don't have a soul. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and in the meantime, she's as we said in the previous movie, Dune, with the fear of chaos and everything, and she's like the same. She has the same paranoias about. She actually says that the world is built on a wall that separates kind. And if you tell either side that there's not this wall anymore, it's gonna be a war or a slaughter. So she says, so yeah, you have to kill the little
right, baby, the secret. So. It's the secret that trying to occultism, trying to keep knowledge hidden. It's like, wait, these things can reproduce now and they can become their own race and everything. We need to squash that, erase all the evidence. Go and wherever you found that he burns it down, and trying to get rid of all the evidence that these replicants can reproduce, because now that threatens the establishment, the way things are, that humans are the kings on here. So, yep.
And that's the last gasp of human power, because beyond that is transhuman power. And that dude's already halfway machine. He's got augmented body.
Vision.
Yeah, and these things can see like emotional, he can tell if Deckard is lying because he's using these fucking drones that are, so they're probably reading all kinds of stuff like heat signature and like
those watches people wear now, how many paces you take, and all the blood pressure and all that stuff.
I wanted to put regarding this, I wanted to say what's the deal with the baseline test.
Oh, that's the trauma test, baseline trauma. Did you notice that they talk about like cells interlinked within cells within cells?
Yeah.
So that's like the hierarchy structure of cops, of power, of the chain of obedience, right? And then when he's failing the test, they're asking him things like, what would it feel like to love? What about holding hands with a woman? Like, they ask him all these emotional things that are like related to being a human. And it's almost like they're testing to see if he thinks that he has his own free will consciousness or not. And baseline for the cops is like, okay, he's totally robot right now. But like when he failed the test, he had already lied, and he's doing actions with like his care. He has care now, and like he's doing things in a human way.
Or signs that there might be a soul in there, and he's not supposed to have a soul.
They test him. They do this baseline test the first time in the movie after he kills the Dave Bautista's character.
Because I think that's because he's killing his own kind,
and he's perfect. Yeah, and
it's a trauma to do that.
Yeah.
So they have to test to see if he like feels remorse, It's crazy. Like, I mean, can you imagine like having to have a test to see if your android is becoming free will or not? Like, that's what I got.
I think in the real world they do something similar to that, because at least in movies and TV shows, we know, I think even in real life, when there's a officer involved shooting, when a police officer has to shoot somebody or kill somebody, they do take them off for, a little while just to make sure that they could go see a psych eval and everything. Yeah. And then they put them back. But if they're like, no, man, I don't know, man, I kill somebody. I don't know if it fucks them up. So yeah, they do.
Because all it takes is one time, like you can all of a sudden break yourself and be like, like it's, I mean, imagine killing somebody with a gun that doesn't deserve it. Like the emotional trauma that it would do to somebody that actually does care for human life. And they followed that order and then they're stuck in this hell of remembering it. Like all cops. So
it's almost like tests. It's almost like tests to make sure that you still lack empathy. Okay, good. He's still good to go out there. Good. You still lack empathy. Okay, he's still good to go out there. Oh shit, he's showing signs of empathy. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, because the second time he doesn't answer right away. He has like the split.
They took his badge.
Yeah, he had like the split seconds hesitations. So they realized.
And his throat. She was like looking at his throat swallowing and stuff, and she was looking at. She's like, "You're way off baseline," and like after she's like, "Go do this thing," and when you get back, who knows if you're gonna get your gun back? Like she's like, "Give me your badge and your gun because you're off baseline." So like that's the what happens when you're not on baseline. They fucking take you off the beat. Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we didn't. I had you ask you guys to remind me, but we didn't. Let's touch on this. The cover. Remember, it's got both the blue and the red on either side. So I know you wanted to touch on that.
And you see that, and you see the man is on the red and the woman's on the blue. Like it's showing the male and female sides, and joy or whatever on the right.
The humans on the blue, where you got creativity, imagination, and then you got the freaking robots kind of on the right, where it's just mechanical, logic, numbers, and that guy, the freaking transhumanist guy.
Or it's on the left or whatever.
Yet you also got they have joy there, and we could talk about joy. You brought up something about joy.
She has love and compassion. Right.
Even though it's artificial, and she's on the blue side.
Right. And like, what was she created for? Why was she really created? And it's just like in AI, the movie, the Kubrick movie. These robots, they're created for sex. Like that's what they do. And all the technology is driven by war and sex. Like all the military makes all the technology, and then they give it to the people so that they can use it in their pornography. I mean, they got teledildonics now. They got VR women. Like they get everything. So like this is a VR woman, right? And her name is Joy, not Joy. It's Joi. I noticed that like when I put on the subtitles, I'm like, that's weird. And I look up JOI. What is that? It means jerk off instructions. It's a porn thing. Like the actress tells the viewer how to jerk off. Like she's the dominatrix telling you what to do. And like, that's her name. And then like, you see the ads, the fucking 50-foot hologram of this naked woman who's all like sexy and hi, Joe, like, because that's what her intention is. And she can take calls, and she can do nothing. I don't know what else she does.
Yeah, it's written, she'll tell you, whatever you want to hear, and
right. Yeah, the ad is said whatever you want to hear and whatever you want to see. And in his apartment, you see with the rails up there with the cat projection thing, that he makes a bowl of generic noodles that he needs. But yet she brings a holographic plate of like, what was it? I don't know if it was like burger and fries and stuff. All nice looking food, but she puts it on top of the generic thing, that he's eating. So again, makes you see what you want to see.
Yeah, that's
dude,
yeah.
can you imagine living in such a fake world?
It's
that,
like the Matrix. Remember the
your
Matrix
bowl
eating the
of
slop?
gruel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're eating that
exactly.
slop. It looked like freaking some
Yeah.
dried up cereal kind of thing. But then in the
Yeah.
new one, that's another place we can go. They're like, oh, look, now they can do artificial cherries and strawberries
Right.
and everything. Like, see, better than that.
But and then the same
technology's
thing with
advancing.
like the same thing with the sex scene, like, you know, she sinks with the woman, and you know, and he knows it's a porn image like displayed on a whore, and he's a robot at the same time. Like, it's really weird to me. Like, why does he even have the desire for sex? Like, what is it? Why do they do that? Why do they eat? Why do they need to breathe? You know, these kind of questions.
Well, they are synthetic humans. They're not exactly robots. So
right. But I mean, they never really tell us how they're built, so we don't know if they really need air or if they really need food. Maybe they're doing it because they're programmed.
Yeah.
You know,
apparently,
at the end, he drowns
the
he drowns
female.
her.
Like
Exactly.
they're not mechanical.
And he dies, he bleeds out.
Yes.
So,
right. Yeah. So like, that's interesting. And then it causes us to have more empathy for them and relate to them more, because
talking about empathy,
die the same way.
Yeah. That I noticed this, I don't know if it was the third or fourth time I just watched it, when in Vegas, when he has that little portable projection stick, and then the other replicant, she goes to stamp on it, but it's the projection of of Joy. And you kind of feel, it's kind of like you're meant to feel, oh no, she's gonna die, because that's the only place that the digital programming, the data of her is in the stick, and she's about to die. And it's like, wait a minute, see, they're getting that. Yeah, but they're getting you to feel for, oh, she's gonna die. The experiences he had with her, and all. It's a data, it's a program, but yet like, you know what, death is coming for
and
it.
He's a robot. Like, we're gonna have to like he's gonna feel bad. Like, huh? Like, what the fuck, dude? I mean, excuse my language. Yeah, it's really. I mean, they walk that line the whole movie. Same thing with the first movie. Like, is Deckard a replicant? Who knows? Like the, you know, Rachel didn't know she was a replicant and whatever, you know. So it's really good to have that subjective, you know, it gives you something to think about, and that way you can like you know, imagine it either way, you know what I mean? And like, you get more information out of the picture if you can.
I think it's a little bit of that obfuscation of free will. See, reality could be whatever you want it to be. If you feel that he was a replicant, then there you go, it's true. Oh, if he wasn't, he was still human, then there you go too. It's that thing of truth. It's your truth, Sean, it's your truth. Then Francesco, your truth, and my truth. See, the truth can be whatever we want it to be. It's like, well, wait a minute, no, there's the actual truth of, no, he actually was a replicant, or he wasn't one. So
but we never get to know. We never
and they hint, we talked about this earlier, Wallace's conversation. Well, when you met Rachel the first time, maybe you were programmed that you guys were supposed to be there, and why you and not someone else. And again, see that you know,
or
those seeds of doubt.
And humans can be programmed too. So maybe that, like, because like, you know, we know about SRA and shit, we know with trauma and like whatever, like there are people that are walking around programmed like robots, but they're people, you know. So that's a fine line, you know.
Well, look at the world today, right? The programming, 6 feet, wear a mask. People automatically program now. They step out of their car, grab their mask before going to the store, and they keep their social distance. There's programming at work, people.
Like, I work in a factory. You do too, right? Like, these people, they're wearing masks again. I don't know why, this Omicron shit on the news. We don't have to, but they're doing it anyway. And they're wearing these gloves covered with the, like, who knows what, like metal dust, grease, like all kinds of shit. And they're like touching their mask, and they're touching their ears, and they're pulling their hair back. It's just so nasty. And they, you know, like, and their mask is covered with black, and they're walking around thinking that they're like helping. It's just, it's really
and
sad.
Then they don't dispose it in a, you know, biodegradable kind of place, or it goes into regular trash, or it's on the floor, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you're talking about that ties into the movie one part there. We were talking about the young girl with her immune deficiency in a cell.
So that's the daughter of Rachel and Deckard.
So she tells a story about how she was in the world and a normal kid until she was 10 years old. And she said that she used to love crowds, but then all of a sudden she's got to stay indoors all the time. And that's in our subconscious mind. Now that we have gone through the pandemic, now that trauma is in us and we recall it through her, when she mentions that shit, it triggers within us our own lockdown. And
well, that was predictive. Remember, this film had a 2017 release, October.
Yes,
so this was at least 2-3 years before all this went down.
That's what I'm saying. Like they sowed the seeds of it. The shit has been long, and it's like they've been planning this. We've been looking at the real information, and this has been in the works since at least 2000, and anyway, it's an extension of their New World Order. Like it's the rollout of their New World Order. And they knew that they were going to use this, you got to have an enemy that everybody in the world can fight. And if it's not climate change, because we all live in the same climate, then it's a disease of the body because we're all humans, right? So they have to like get something that everybody's on board with, that you can't have national boundaries. And that way it's like all the world together. Like when Ronald Reagan says, well, what if aliens came down? We'd all, work together as one planet. Like, so that's what they're trying to push with this, the psychology that they're inculcating, their worldview that they want to create in our minds is that of like one world. And then we need them, to be our rulers. We must have that. So like and it's just a rollout of that. And so they knew that it was going to be a virus, like some sort of like disease or whatever. And if you think about the psychology of these Satanists, like the Black Plague in Europe must be what they dream about when they're having sex. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're just so hateful, and they want to kill the world so much. The eugenicists, like the dysgenicists, they want to depopulate the planet. Like, oh, what was the best thing that what can we do again to really, reduce the numbers? And in the history books, all they talk about is like when they mention the Black Plague, they always say like it got rid of 1/3 of the population of Europe. And it's like, whoa, or more. Like, I don't even remember, but it was like a big number, and they really stressed that. And like this disease is what did it. So like even then they were giving us this idea that disease can wipe out the entire population, and it's like a script that they already had written, just like the Bible is already a script that they use. You know what I mean? It's like they've created it long ago, and they knew that they were going to roll it out now. And it's so obviously the people making this movie, if they didn't know the people approving the shit and telling them what, the producers and the money people do have influence in these films. And, like the CIA is there to help make military makes war movies with Hollywood and whatever. So we can only assume, that's kind of a foggy subject, but obviously this is triggering in us now that those events have happened and it is reality. The pandemic did happen, and she's talking about immune problems and being locked into this cage, and the cage has technology that gives her everything she can imagine. She can create anything, the whole world, but then when she turns it off, it's a barren nothing. She's got a cot, not even a cot, she's got a mattress on the floor and a little tea table, and that's it. Like so that's what they want for us, to be locked in our bubble, in our jail cell, content, because we have everything. We can make a birthday party, yay, with this little device.
You will own nothing and be happy.
Exactly.
No.
That's Jennifer said that when we were watching it yesterday. Like, it's the same thing. Like, that's what they want for us. Bingo. Yeah.
And I bet you she has her food delivered by Uber. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Uber Eats all the delivery food, and
Yeah.
hey, she can communicate with anybody because she's got FaceTime. So all the Zoom like us. Hey, we were stuck at home, but look, you can still live the new normal, artificiality.
Yeah. Yeah. She gets fucking grubs delivered, and they're like artificial grubs, even made by replicants, in a farm that has like the greenhouse tent has like Russian letters on it, made by Russian companies.
Talking about tents. Yes, yeah. In the beginning,
it's
when
all
they do that whole flyover, it
looks.
You think, oh, is that a desert? But no, it's all tents, and you can see people moving underneath the tent.
That's real
where
farming.
They're growing their stuff.
Because the air and the chemtrails have killed the air so much, they got to grow everything indoors, just like cannabis.
And those round facilities you saw with all those lenses, those are all the solar things. Instead of each home having their own solar thing, everything's centralized. So it says Los Angeles, and you see like 4 or 5 of these big round things.
But you know what else that is?
And then the trash, where the waste place, it's San Diego. The county of San Diego now, it's all this trash.
It is already though, isn't it? They already they drink shit water. I mean, anyway. It's probably beautiful by the beach.
That's a reminder also of the movie Soldier, with when I saw the trash airships that deliver all the junk there. That's what happens you see that in Soldier too. So that was interesting. That was interesting. And but I was thinking, don't they have the technology to recycle all that stuff? No, they just leave it there. They're so advanced, yet they just leave it there.
I was thinking that, like when Kay like crashes his car, there's all this metal scrap everywhere, and I'm thinking like metal scrap is valuable. Like they can melt that shit down. Like it's all these like old radiators and like whatever the fuck they could find. But it's not regular trash. It's like valuable trash. It's stuff that you could use, like concrete and fucking metal. Anyway,
and that leads to another level in this, where you have Lenny James' character, the black dude. You have the child slavery, where he has them all collecting different stuff and tinkering and doing stuff with the metal stuff, because the children, the slave labor with the children,
they got little hands.
All that crap.
Because
I'm thinking there's some planned obsolescence in there too, because maybe in the big cities they tell them, look, once all this technology and everything, we got to keep going and going forward, because look, all these ships we're creating, everything, that's limited supply, whatever. And maybe San Diego, where they're dumping all that, the people living in Los Angeles or in the major cities don't know this. So it's again another form of planned obsolescence, where they dump everything that can be recyclable and say, look, we don't have enough materials, there's limited resources. Again, we don't know if that's a world scarcity. Where that lies. The scarcity.
That scene with the child slaves that actually take the metals that are used for building space vessels, spaceships. It's very indicative, because I think it really sums up pretty much what that kind of world, the kind of world that it is, where technology has evolved, so to speak.
They still got child slavery.
They still have child slavery, because
just even like Snowpiercer.
Even if technology has evolved, but consciousness has devolved at the same time. So I guess that's the more indicative sequence of the movie for this.
There was a line I told you guys I wanted to bring up, and I might not remember it exactly. You guys know it. It's that quote. It's a line that one of the older lady replicants at the end says, something about to die for the right cause is the most human thing we can do. And then Sean, you said something. Maybe to live is the most. But as far as in context of the movie, and a lot of movies and things, is like, come on, people bust their ass trying to do whatever, wasting their lives on frivolous, meaningless shit. Whereas the right cause is to end slavery, for freedom and all this, So I don't know. That I thought that was a point in there. It's the most human thing to do.
But if you live for freedom,
the robots are the ones trying to achieve that, and the humans they don't give two shits about it.
Yeah, it's like this eternal battle against tyranny and oppression and domination is still happening, but the humans have been taken over. The humans are cops and child slavers, and the battle still happens. The robots now have taken up the shields and the sword. It's really interesting.
Could that be another form of obfuscation? See, the humans are the ones without a soul, and the robots, the AIs, are the ones with souls, because they're the ones fighting for freedom and willing to die for it. It's like
a satanic inversion. A satanic inversion, right? Like the mirror. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I also wanted to mention that along with the joy being jerk off instructions, like robots, these synthetic humans were probably invented in the first place to be a pleasure model. Like in the first movie, the two of the women were made for sex, like, even though one of them was a
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, battle chick also, right? But so there's that history, and then written on the door of Kay's apartment, they hate him and they call him a Skinner. And if you know about jail terminology, a Skinner is a rapist. A Skinner is or a pedophile, and somebody who does skin crimes, where they take the skin of another, and they're kept in isolation from other prisoners because everybody hates them. And they would do things like that, like write stuff, they would brand them as a Skinner. And it doesn't really relate to the story, but I just wanted to mention that. And
that book you
Joy,
said about.
yeah, Joy holds up a book that she's reading, and it's written by Nabokov, who also wrote Lolita. And pretty much all of his stories have pedophilia involved. It's normal for a man to love a young girl. And so that is also just it's a weird side issue that might have relations somehow that I don't see or whatever, but those elements are there. And Nabokov, like that book called Pale Fire, is from a Shakespeare line, and Shakespeare's Timon of Athens, and the line it's taken from is, "The moon's an errant thief, and her pale fire snatches from the sun." So it's like the AI, this fucking robot chick, is not real. It's like a false light, but she has love and she feels the love, but it's a false light. It's really, I don't know. It's kind of a heady way of thinking about it, but that's like where it comes from. And that's Nabokov is famous for writing Lolita. That's his most famous book.
You got me thinking. So far, most of this recording, for some reason, you got me thinking, especially now, of that Spielberg direction
AI.
of
I was
AI.
Going to say that was going to
be another Kubrick film, and you got Jude Law. He's the adult male prostitute, male sex slave thing. Yes. But then you got Haley Joel Osment, the little boy, and again,
boy sex slave.
See.
But I'm going to talk about that in my own work. I'm going to do my own podcast about that. But
so I just thought it's funny, tiptoeing around here with artificiality, the sex, and the imposing. I was just thinking, if you can impose on a person the AI, whatever, of the adult, well, that's not to say you got people on children imposing on children. Oh, look, it's an adult female, whatever. But
think about that AI, like the real thesis of my video or whatever is going to be like, who wants a child that never grows up, that is a robot? Robots follow orders. They do what you tell them. And he's never going to grow up. He's always going to be in that little body. Why? Who would want that? I want my kid to grow up strong, be a man, I don't want him to stay a child. That's very selfish on one level, but then on another level, the people who would buy that kind of thing, they already have these things. They already sell them on Amazon. They've got fake children that you can buy, a little doll that looks like a baby that's a sex toy. Like, it's gross.
you got me. You made me remember something in this movie now, where this might tie in. As you were talking, I was thinking of that Toys R Us theme. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid,
Yeah.
you know? But then in this movie, there's a segment where Deckard asked Wallace, he said, "You're not a parent, are you?" And then he leans forward and says, "I am a parent. I birthed, or I'm a parent of over 1 million. It's like, you know, so again, all these replicants that he's manufactured, those are his children. So, you know, a number of them for sex slave, but, you know.
That goes to his God complex. And another thing that relates to child sacrifice is the Babylon references. Like, this dude, this Wallace guy, is doing the same thing that Nimrod was doing, like it basically trying to become God, right? Making human become like God. And what does God do? God creates life. So that's like his mission, is to create life, synthetic life. And, you know, he saved the planet with his farming, you know, and like God saves his people, gives them manna or whatever, gives them food for the earth, you know, from the earth. Like this, so he says, he refers to his children or whatever as angels. And he says in his little speech to Deckard when he's about to, before he tortures him or whatever, or before he brings him to the off-world, he says, you know, we used to make angels that didn't follow orders. And who were the angels that didn't follow orders? It was Lucifer and his crew, the fallen angels and the watchers or whatever. And then he wants angels that can breed. So he wants to recreate the race of Nephilim. And that's, I mean, in a sense, that's what Hitler was trying to do. He wants that Aryan race of the beginning bloodline that was from the gods or whatever. So it's the same goal all over again. And it's exactly the same goal that our leaders that are technocrats have now. I mean, they're making life, they have genetics and they create all kinds of shit, plants, viruses, like they are becoming like God, and they in their mind they think that they can achieve these things. And I just wanted to say that is in given to us in our subconscious mind. It's given us that these rich rulers want to do this thing, and even if we don't think about it consciously, it's the same old story out of the Bible, just told again. That's why it's such a good story. You know what I mean? Because Hollywood doesn't have any new stories. They got to rehash old shit. Case in point, that new Matrix, it was totally terrible shit, but we don't need to talk about that.
Maybe you and I can do one on that, because in certain aspects it was terrible, but then like everything else, it did have some parts that okay, that was good there. But again,
that's how they get you. That's how
exactly. Now, when you were talking about the like Hitler and the Aryan race and all that kind of stuff, the perfection, there's hints of that in here at the end of the movie, when that female replicant, the fighting one, the hitwoman one, when she fights Joe at the end and she stabs him up and everything and leaves him, and she says, "See, I am the best one." Right. She can't reproduce, but yet in her mind, she's bought that she's the best one. She's the top of the replicant, line. So again, there's that supremacy.
Right. And the way that the Satanists think with their social Darwinism, they're I am better than the rest. And it goes right back to the tenets of Satanism right there.
Yeah, and it's interesting in that scene because she actually, she stabs she stabs Joe, and then she hisses him, and then she says she's the best one, etc. Because she has seen it done by her master when he does it to he did that to the replicant that
that couldn't reproduce.
The one hanging in plastic. Yeah.
He did that same thing. So I was thinking about, nurture thing. Like she's been in the service of the psychopath, and she's like him, in fact.
Takes on his traits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, because she wants to be like her god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The programming. So like the guy develops a conscience. The Ryan Gosling character Joe develops a conscience because he's able to sort of think for himself at a certain point, while
she has care.
While she's being programmed by the psychopath. So
I think Joe is running on what that old lady tells him, because he thought he was the one. He thought he was Deckard's son. And she kept saying the daughter is like daughter. And then he remembers that Deckard said, I taught them how to fudge the data, how to switch information. So the female that was born, they put it in the records as a male, and, to hide her. And so that's why he thought he was the one. So right there, that's where what I quoted comes in, that, to die doing for a right cause. He was like, well, shit, I'm not the savior. So at least I'm going to, give myself to do what's right. And that will make him feel human. That's the most human.
And not only that, he spares Deckard's life, because they told him, the rebel replicants told him to kill Deckard, because he's a liability for them.
Now, here's something that I noticed that I thought was an obfuscation too, that again, it's like, wait, which way does it go? When Joe goes to Vegas and finds Deckard, first you get Wallace's people show up, and then you see that the replicants show up. So he was being tracked either by both of them were tracking him with that beacon, or they each had, the beacon was the replicants, what the hooker put in his pocket was one tracking thing. And then maybe Joe himself didn't know that being a replicant, he had a tracking thing, and they track. So it's the same thing. He was tracked and led to the person they were looking for, but for different reasons. Wallace's crew were like, no, we need to get rid of, find out how, he was able to reproduce with a replicant, and we need to dissect him and do experiments on him. And so nefarious reasons. Whereas the replicants, they were trying to protect him, find him, rescue him, save him. Like, no. Now that he's out, we need to find out where he is to be with us, with the good guys. So again, it's the same thing of tracking, but for what purposes? Nefarious or, good or bad.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to say, when you were talking about the light, the light farm, the energy, sunlight farm, basically,
right, the solar panels, they were all around.
So that, like, that scene, it's an eye opening, just like the beginning of the first movie.
One eye.
Right, the one eye open, right? So that happens, but then it cuts to that. And what is that thing? If you think about it, it's a tower, like an obelisk, surrounded by all these mirrors that are catching the light and sending it to the top. And that is exactly the same way a panopticon is built. And an opticon is something that you'd see with your eye. Optics. So they show us the eye, and then they show us the panopticon, and it says Los Angeles. So like that is the perfect prison, is the panopticon, developed by Bentham. And it's like you only need one soldier with a rifle and everybody to think that they're being watched, and everybody will obey.
Something twisted. They wanted to do that when I was in high school.
What?
They wanted to do that with the desk's disposition in my class. A teacher wanted to do that.
Wow.
And that's the only time.
Did she have a rifle?
No, she wanted to put the desk like in a
circle, and her desk in
an optical way.
Wow.
But that fortunately was the only time when we came together and decided that we weren't having it. So
that's great.
we said that the maintenance people that there were problems with the fire regulations or some bullshit we made up. and
It's smart.
it wasn't possible. Yeah,
That's smart.
so let's see. That's interesting.
That's great. Yeah, you got to use their whole system of lies to entrap them and to make them saying no. And like, okay, yeah. So okay, one other thing that I wanted to make sure we talk about is this blackout.
Yeah, I wanted to discuss that too. Yeah.
Do you want to say it?
I don't know. I was saying, to get into the foreshadowing, another foreshadowing part,
yes,
the predictive programming for something that's
worldview creating.
Yeah, may well be happening
right
in the future. There was this 10-day total blackout, and
yes,
all the data, all the electronically stored data went lost.
Right.
Except the few things that remain on paper or something else, some secure storage. Yes. So yeah, that's interesting, and the year is 2049. So, we know that one step of the agenda
30 years.
Yeah.
They said it was 30 years.
Yeah. But one step of their agenda for global domination, it's 2050, 1 year.
Right.
So it's the year before, and then there was this blackout right before it, and the first movie is set in November 2019, and in the real world, in real life, November 2019 was just a few months away from the start of the COVID operation. So
it might have been when they were actually like putting it out there, like the time when,
interesting,
when they were releasing it from the lab.
But yeah, I want to say, the blackout might be very well a foreshadowing of something that
exactly. And we know about
intentions.
We know about the internet 9/11 that they're planning, the I-9/11, and this cyber polygon.
Yeah.
And Klaus Schwab says that it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Hacking is going to be bigger than 9/11. Like what? And then in this movie, the dude's talking about like everything digital was erased forever. And he said like the only things that survived were on paper. And if you think about it, like
he also did say everybody's bank records disappeared too, but they didn't care much about that.
Right. That was a nice little joke they put on the end. Like, so that's what they're going to give us, that because they're taking away the money anyway. It doesn't matter to them. They already have all the goods, all the wealth. Who needs money after that? So in their mind, like being a photographer, I was in school when they were like transitioning from film to digital. And I thought about this a lot, like when I was choosing my major and shit, I was like, should I do digital? Like film isn't going to really exist. And like, they don't. And I stayed with film. Like I'm an artist, like I'm fucking doing it. And I learned a lot, and I'm very thankful I did. But they don't print film anymore. It's like you got to go to a special lab that costs tons of money to print on real photographic paper, color photographic paper. And everything comes from a computer now. And, they got great printers, and it looks really nice and shit, but it's not the same. And all the files are just ones and zeros, like a negative from a photograph. You hold it up and you look at it and you see the information. It's there. But, a drive, it's occulted language in a box that I can't open and look at. You know what I mean? So they already, for the past 20 years, they haven't been shooting in film. So all of that shit is going to get erased. Like, it's not just going to be from that moment on. They've been putting stuff on drives for years and years. All the medical, like they're turning everything digital for years now. Like, this is a little side story, but when the Monica Lewinsky thing happened with Bill Clinton, all the people by that time, all the paparazzi types that were photographing the president all the time, they were all using digital. And with digital, like, you take a bunch of shots and then you look at it on the screen and you're like, oh, I don't want that one. Don't want that one. And you like erase immediately just to save space and you keep going. But with film, it's clicked and it's done. You don't go back and like erase it. And when the Monica Lewinsky thing happened, one photographer was using film, and he looks back in his contact negatives and he finds a shot of Bill Clinton hugging Monica Lewinsky and being all like, yeah, baby. And he was like, oh, sweet, I got one. And he sold that to the news for a bunch of money, you know. And meanwhile, everybody else erased stuff that they didn't even think they needed, that, you know, to save space for the future. So this like real documentation of the truth isn't even happening anymore. It's getting turned into ones and zeros that can easily be blacked out by an EMP, whatever, solar flare, you know what I mean? It's very fragile, and they know that. And I think it's written into the script. Like, it is written literally into the script of this film. So I think it's going to happen. And Klaus Schwab talks about it. And he was taught by Kissinger, and Kissinger was taught by Rockefeller, and it's all the same plan. So be ready for it. Get your Faraday cage, man. I don't know. So that's it. I'm sorry. I keep talking.
No, that's good, because that's like digitally, that kind of coincides with my thoughts, observations of this last year or two of reality, of what is reality, what's real, what can you prove, what can't you prove? You know, if everything's digital and they switch it, all these movies and TV shows over the last 5 years plus or minus is about alternate realities, multiverses, reality revisionism, going back and changing things. And no, that's not how it is. All this stuff, that's indicative, I think, of the society we're going to, that we don't know what's real. Look at right now. I told a few people that we live in a alternate reality right now, because you have some people that believe the COVID A through Z, top to bottom. And then you have those of us that can be living, we can be side by side with these people that believe that and see the COVID thing completely the other way around, as to, you know, it's all hoax, all this, you know, so it's reality, two different multiple realities existing at the same time. So it's interesting that that's happening. If you can, if you're aware enough that you can look at the world and be like, yeah, that is true, that's happening. Some people will be like, I agree, you're talking out of your ass, that's bullshit. But no, the movies are doing it, TV shows and reality. Case in point, look at
Robert Kennedy, or not Robert Kennedy, the other one, Ron Paul's son, you know, Senator Rand Paul, him talking to Fauci when they're fighting in front of the camera. We could be watching the same thing as the lefty weirdo sitting next to us at the bar, and both of us come away thinking, yeah, he really gave it to him good, you know, when we're talking about one guy and they're talking about the other guy. And we're both feeling like we won, you know, and really all they were doing was just clanging swords, you know, like saber rattling at each other. It's a messed up mind warp that they're giving us. And that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. And that's, I think, what Robin Wright's character was talking about with that information. If that information gets out there, you know, scrub it. We need to get rid of this, because if not, the way the world is will collapse. Everything, the reality, you know, again, see who has the power to maintain the reality. And but look at the reality they live in. Look at San Diego. It's a junk pile. Like what, you know, Las Vegas is like, and another thing between like the architecture of Las Vegas. I wanted to mention that they had the pyramid of I think it's the Luxor pyramid that's already there, but they got more structure above it, and they got obelisks and stuff. So like in the panning shot, you could see the obelisk and the pyramid. And then there's like these statues of dancing women and stuff where the bees are, plus bees. If you're thinking about, like, they primed our mind to think about Egypt, and then they got bees right there. And that's, Pharaoh means beekeeper. Like Egypt was they had bees on every boat that was in the Nile. They had a beehive, and those bees like went to all the flowers all up and down the Nile. Like honey was huge for them, and it was like sacred. They used it in their medicine and their rituals. So anyway, like that, those ideas are connected. I'm not going to apply it to whatever else of the story, but I'm just saying, like, highlighting that. And just wanted to say that those women dancing are just like the future world of AI, where the road is going into the open mouth, and those things. And it was a Spielberg movie, but that was already storyboarded out by Kubrick. Kubrick had the idea to make the building be a woman with her legs open and you walk into her vagina, you know, and like the road goes into the open mouth of like the woman with the red lipstick. And so like that, and that it's almost echoed in this movie here, where the architecture is these dancing structures of statues that almost look similar to the same ones in AI. I thought of it immediately when I saw that. I just want to bring it up. So it's another connection.
Yeah, I also they are also some of them are also fallen. So it was
they're
like
the
fall,
side,
the kind of the fall of, you know, the fall of man, or the fall of God, or the fall of the gods being man wanting to play God and then fell.
Right. Or the fall of the dream, the the original dream of man to be dancing huge thing. It's like we've lost our step and stumbled and crashed, like, you know. And you look at Vegas. Sean, go ahead.
When you were talking about the bees, when I watched it last night and this morning, I had the subtitles on, and in the subtitles, when he puts his hand inside that bee little keeping box, whatever, it's saying bees buzzing, and then the edit cuts to where he's in the orange, it says buzzing stops. And I just thought that's pretty interesting how, you know, we talk about, you know, the bees, what was it, like 10, 15 years ago, talking about climate change, whatever. We're killing off the bees, and that the ripple effect, because they, you know, they what is it? They you know,
it's like a barometer of telling when it's like healthy again.
Right, like, because they go ahead and take care of other plants, and we go off those plants and so. But if the bees go, then ripple effect. So it's interesting that in there they show the bees, and you hear the buzzing, and the subtitles say bees buzzing, and then with the edit, buzzing stops. And I'm like, that's another indicator. Nature's gone. Now you're now you're on your own. Now you're in the artificial world. And when they show Vegas, when he's being chased by Deckard, and he's in that little hall where the show went on, and there's
Marilyn Monroe and Elvis
and all that.
MK Ultra people.
Right. That was coming to mind, all the artificiality. And when he sees Steve Martin or whatever, or whoever the Martin, what the hell is his name? Dean Martin. He sees Dean Martin in the little bowl thing, whatever. It's like a jukebox, but it's a video virtual.
Oh, that was Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra, whatever. Yeah, so one of these oldies. So it was just interesting to me, showing how nature, the real thing, real people, real humans in this future, they no longer exist. The entertainment, it's all artificial. It's all a memory, and it's all.
And we already have that. You know, they already like they got a hologram of Tupac on stage.
Exactly.
They got Prince, a hologram, and, you know, or whatever. No, he was like, and he had a quote that he never ever wanted them to make a hologram of himself. And then they were going to do it, and like the family had this huge thing. Yeah, that when they own the rights, they're going to make holograms of people. Like all these huge stars are selling the rights. Like Bruce Springsteen just sold his for like the most amount of money ever. Like all the big people, like you know, they're all cashing out. And now, you know, their likenesses are going to be, they're in the digital machine now. You know, they're going to have a fake person. And if you think about it, Marilyn Monroe was a robot basically through trauma. She was a trauma-based mind control victim of SRA. Elvis probably was as well, you know, and they were both pawns in the satanic game, the culture, to create what Vegas was. This, and he was talking about how they made money seem like candy, you know, like this whole town was great, you know. It's like, it's talking about like the American dream, you know what I mean? Like he was part of the old world, and he's trying to tell the young kid about how it used to be. Really interesting how it just kind of throws in all those things into your subconscious for you to like ruminate, and while you're, you know, watching this. It's really interesting.
Yep.
And there's also
kind of off topic real quick though. There is a show coming on TV soon, and it's about country music. Susan Sarandon stars in it, and it's called Monarch. And the studio that come out of, it's called Monarch. They have Monarch on the window that they come out of the studio. So, just so you know, in your face, they don't care anymore. Just like, here it is.
I did a thing on Mark Devlin's show like years ago, talking about how country music is the same as the Laurel Canyon 60s shit. And you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like Laurel Canyon is like Nashville upgraded to long-haired hippies, and, an FM radio. I'm actually going to talk about it some more, like about how that evolved into TV and the occult rejects coming up pretty soon. But like that whole thing, like the country music, everybody thinks country music's wholesome, but Kathy O'Brien will tell you it was MK Ultra to the core. It was mind control. It was inculcating worldviews. Like the Grand Ole Opry was like in everybody's home, coming from this box that they totally trusted, and they're listening like a dog to his master's voice, to the RCA device. It's really interesting. Like, and this movie is an extension of that. Like this movie now.
I was gonna say this, both of them with the pianos, they're key in there, the piano playing.
Yeah,
the original and this one.
Yeah. And the key that he hits is the same key that the sock is on in the other one.
Yep.
And
then he lies to Deckard. He says the piano played by me, and Deckard says, "Don't lie to me." So again, using the music, the piano playing. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing here? What brought you here? The piano playing. It was like, don't lie.
Right. Yeah. And that's what Rachel, like, they played piano in the first movie.
Was it me or was it Tyrell's nieces? So again, reality, what's real? Did I play this? Do I remember playing this? And even Joe thought he was the one hiding that thing, but it's the girl's memories that get put out there, and they implant. So
he has the girl's memories. In fact, she recognizes them when
she looks
with the machine that looks into your mind.
Your brain. Yeah. And she talks about how memories are formed. They're formed by the feelings. They're not like, you don't remember you remember because of the feeling you have while you're watching it. It's very interesting. She says some real psychologically important elements, and that's why trauma is so effective. I don't mean to bring up SRA again, but like, that's why trauma works so well when they're making robots out of humans. They use trauma because that feeling is like shocking the brain so hard it creates a robot.
I think you're on, because that is important, because in this movie, the feeling that resonates the most in here, or is referred to the most, is pain. Pain is, when that hit woman gets Robin Wright's character, and she's holding the glass and breaks her, the glass in there, pain. And then what Wallace tells Deckard, gonna send you off world because pain, you had no idea of the pain you could experience up there. So again, that trauma thing is constantly played in there. Pain.
Right. That's how they keep their power. Fear and pain. It's fucked up, man. Yeah. But I wanted to mention that the replicants that are fighting, the woman with one eye.
Oh, damn. I was just thinking that.
Oh, man. She has one eye, right? So she is illumined, and she's telling, and she says that if we can reproduce, then we are our own masters. And I just wanted to say that that is beyond human. It's like, if you're born into flesh, then you own your body, and that's self-ownership is the core of freedom. And that's why we relate so much to these androids, because we subconsciously are fighting for our own freedom every day. Like, we either give in and follow the orders, or we stand true. And, so that's why I think that's why this movie resonates with us so much. And we see Joe like die for a good cause, and we relate to that. And then we see the father reuniting with the daughter, and like we know how important family is, and like that creates the resolution within us, even though Wallace is still out there being the ruler of master of the universe. It still gives us the good feelings, for us to remember the movie with the feeling.
Yeah, Deckard does reference that when he has a little conflict with Joe. Joe's like, "Why you abandon your family? What your daughter?" And he's like, "Oh, I was being hunted. I was being hunted. So the best form of love I can express was by going away. That way they can be safe." See, so it's again that sacrifice. Sacrifice is a theme in a lot of movies. And here, Deckard's sacrifice was that sacrifice his family and all that for their well-being and him being in solitude by himself. Because if they find him, they'll make them talk and eventually get to them, the experiment, so they can figure out, oh, how did this work? See, for greed and all that. So sacrifice, the biggest form of love. Okay, so they can live their life and be happy. But yet, look at what happened. Eventually, either she got caught or they hid the daughter in that institute or whatever, the laboratory. So but still, it was the message there. The sacrifice is the love.
Right. Yeah. And like Alexa sacrificed herself for Joe, like she just appeared and was like, "No, stop hurting him." She knew she would get destroyed.
You said Alexa, and Alexa, Joey.
Yeah. That's who she is.
Alexa, yeah.
That is what it is, and she was, when he broke the antenna, like the woman, NSA woman, like the fucking love was watching through the antenna. Just like now, the fucking elite are looking at us through Alexa, and we think that we just use it to jerk off with, but like they're watching us do that, whatever. So yeah, she's Alexa in my opinion. But she sacrificed too. Even though she's a robot, a program, she felt love. She's like, "I love you." Like it was like it's really interesting.
Interesting also was the dog in Vegas, Deckard's dog. There's a little conversation where he asks, "Is it real?" Joe asks him, "Is it real or not?" And Deckard says, "I don't know. What do you think?" So it leaves reality to you. Yeah, ask him, So that, again, reality, obfuscating reality. Was the fucking dog real or not? Then again, does it matter? It just is what it is. It's there,
Well, what real is the experience. Like it's being experienced by an experiencer. There is a consciousness inside. So like with AI, we have to assume that they have a consciousness. So like that right there is a big jump, which I really don't think will ever happen. But like if we assume that they do have a consciousness, then they are an experiencer too. Just like us with a soul. We call our experiencer, like our observer, the soul. Like if they're observing too, what's to say they're not real? Like they were created differently, but they still have a viewpoint, a self. Sentient. Yeah.
Now that makes me think something we talked about either before we were recording or at the beginning. The title of the original book was the Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. And I told you that Edward James Olmos' character, to me, it looked like a sheep that he had made, referring to Joe being a sheep. You're just being played by them. They're using you. You're just part of the sheep. You believe what they tell you. But now, with what you just said, dreaming. So is that real too? If the androids, if they sleep, when they're in there, because remember the beginning of the movie, the eye opening, he was asleep. Yeah, while driving. So was he dreaming of things and everything? So if he can dream, does that mean he's real also? So interesting concept there.
Yeah. Philip K. Dick is really good with that. And really, like, it's great the way that that he makes us question, this reality that we have. Like he was a Gnostic, and he had a different perspective on things, and it's good to crack our brains a little bit and make us see things from a different perspective, a different worldview. It's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another. It was an animated movie. Made in 95, I think, that touches on some of many of these aspects is Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, so I recommend watching it because there's many of this.
That's the animated one, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
because you remember they had the whitewash one with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. No. The original. I think it's in 95 or something. Yeah. So it's interesting because it's kind of a Blade Runner reality,
right?
With some Matrix also.
I saw Under the Skin the other day again, which is another Scarlett Johansson.
For multiple reasons, it's a great movie.
Right. The idea that it's an alien consciousness instead of an AI consciousness, but it chooses to have compassion. And then it tries to break free from the hierarchical structure of evil, tries to escape and tries to be human. Like it just wants to, feel things and be human like the rest of humanity, and it feels compassion for the guy that has the messed up face and lets him go. And then, she tries to eat cake, tries to have sex, tries to lets a man be nice to her and stuff. And it's really, and then in the end, it gets raped. Like it's a natural law consequence of what it's been doing, but then it realizes it is human because it's being traumatized. Like that's what we do. We're like rabbits, and the wolves are out to get us. Like that's another part of being human, eating cake, having sex, and feeling pain and trauma, like being abused by a dominator, so it's really interesting. But the consciousness, this alien consciousness, chooses to have compassion and to break free and to say no to the structure of evil that it works for, and tries to be human. It's really kind of like what the replicants are doing, and when he's talking to his boss in the beginning of the movie, she's like, she says something to him and he says, I wasn't aware I can say no. He says, I didn't know that it was an option to say no to my boss. And, and then she says that souls aren't worth shit, whatever. You don't need a soul. But then he starts to lie to his boss. He starts to do things with care and compassion. Like he's breaking free from the structure of power and having free will of his own. And that is the real enlightened consciousness, whether he's an android or not, he's awake. It's really, really great. I love that.
And that again brings us back to that point, an artificial intelligence being awake. See, so consciousness, is it something natural, organic, or even the artificial can attain that?
Yeah, he's starting to break the chain of obedience.
Right. Yeah. And if there is an observer, it's natural for the observer to say no to something that is evil. Like even aliens, even robots understand natural law and don't harm others. Like it's obvious. And like this, in the Under the Skin, the alien was like doing harm to innocent people. She was trying to choose dirt bags. They were trying to get in her pants and shit. But then when she found one that was totally innocent, she couldn't do it. Like she let him go. And it's, when his boss, Joe's boss, asks him to retire something that was born into life by creation, not by designed by a human in a laboratory, like he has moral conflict with that. Even though he's a robot, he still understands that it's wrong. So it's a universal law. If you're conscious, whether you're an alien or a robot, like you can get there. And once you achieve that, then you start to say no to the powers of evil. It's just natural.
And then now we go to other Ridley Scott previous films where this dilemma is addressed on both sides. The programming, where you have Alien, you had that android was programmed to fuck it, get that species back to Earth or whatever, and fuck the humans if they die. And then the other program one in Aliens, Bishop, they says, by my programming, I'm not programmed to do or allow humans to be harmed. See, so it's like, again, the programming it sticks, whether it's natural or if it's organic programming, right and wrong can be programmed.
Bishop was only programmed that way because of the fault of the first one. Mm-hmm. Like the first one faulted and they're like, whoa, shit. Like with HAL from 2001. Like that was like the epitome of their abilities of making computing. And whoops, it murdered everybody. Like, sorry guys. And then 2010, they were like, oh, we'd never let that happen again, you know? And then like they trust the computer in 2010, like it's so stupid. And then they like don't lie to the computer, like, oh, like so dumb. Like, but whatever. I mean, 2001 was the only movie, I think, that just like The Shining, there was only one Shining movie. Like, just wipe away that other shit. Kubrick's the only artist there. But that was a side note. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, this Villeneuve, I still like, I should like practice saying his name. Denis Villeneuve. It's fucking great. Like, they really, he's the next him and Ari Aster and like a couple of these, like these new directors like Gaspar Noé. Like, that dude he's not going to be making like big Hollywood movies for a while. He's still kind of a weirdo artist guy. But like, there are young directors that are very talented that are putting lots of occult, esoteric information into their imagery. Like, there's a lot to look forward to. You know, I'm happy that of the future. I'm looking forward to the new art that's happening, even though Kubrick's dead. Like, we still have Jim Jarmusch, and we still have Terry Gilliam, and you know, there are these new artists that are coming up that are like that. This is great, and I look forward to the future, and I'm very glad to see that he proved himself with Blade Runner, and then he made Dune, and like he's approved to make the next one. Like, so I think it's just they're gonna pile on all of these movies that they've been trying to make, but this whole time all they've had was like, you know, the people that make the Transformer movies, you know, they're just like whiz bang, like make more explosions and show more boobies, you know, like the real artists.
Movies, Michael Bay, like, ooh,
yeah, Michael Bay,
nice. Sounds good.
Yeah, Face Off and shit. Yeah.
John Woo. Right?
Yeah, Woo, yeah, like those type of, that's like all Hollywood has had recently. And there's like, the people crave real storytelling and real films again, you know what I mean? So like, people are looking at like that A24 that company is making. They made Midsummer, they made Hereditary, they made the Lighthouse, and you know, it's like
they have one coming out that we'll probably have to make a show for. It's called
they made
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, I saw that.
That looks like again, reality and multiverses and everything. So it's like, yep.
Yeah. And I'm glad that there's money flowing to like real artists again, you know, and it doesn't take much money to make a movie anymore. They're not shooting film, you know, they've got digital computing. Like, now we can open it up to like more artists, because there's like, Hollywood is just scraping the barrel. They got nothing. They're like, let's make Blade Runner again, you know, let's make Matrix again. Like, what was good? I don't know. You know, they haven't made a good movie. And like, you know, they've been, you know, I guess Jim Jarmusch made a movie last year. I don't know. Like, it's few and far between. And I'm really psyched on these new artists are really proving themselves, and they're very capable, and like their use of color and cinematography is just beautiful. Go ahead.
I want to throw in that recent Spider-Man film, No Way Home. That one over $1 billion in 11 days. Why? Is it MCU? Is it Sony? I think it was because of the story, the content, the filmmaker, you know, flexing muscle on familiar stuff about sacrifice. You know, a lot of the things that hit home resonate in here. Nostalgia. So a lot of that stuff. So
they want to see the Spider-Man again. It's a 20-year-old movie, and just like the Matrix, and you know.
Well, not only that, but it's there's things that happen in there. No, I don't know if anybody cares, but spoilers kind of stuff where characters from previous films. Again, like I was saying, multiverses, alternate realities, they bring things together here.
Right.
So I think people are getting on board with reality, what's real, not, and Mandela affecting things, like, well, this happened, this didn't happen, this that, but then to put it on the screen, people are coming out to that stuff. So I don't know. It's
like the Batman movies, like they keep making more Batman movies. They had Batman and Robin and the silly Jim Carrey and like that stupid shit. And then they had like the Batman Returns, and it's Christian Bale and it's more believable kind of, it's not so kooky. And then now they have the Joker, which kind of brings elements of all those together, like it's really interesting how they like the movie theater is accentuated in the Joker film, when the movie theater was a place of trauma for America when they saw the guy dressed as the Joker shoot up a movie theater when they were watching Batman. And then the people watching the new Joker film are watching a bunch of elites that they wish would die in these seats. And the Joker is the crazy person. He's there in the theater with them, and he's like dancing around, and they're watching Charlie Chaplin. And like, there's many levels of, they're just playing with all these elements that, it's very dense symbology, I guess. It's very, they use the fact that the trauma happened with that Batman movie, and then that creates an anxiety in the viewers when they watch the crazy person and he's going to kill all these people in the theater, and they're in the theater right now, and what's happening, and when they were shot up by that James Holmes SRA robot kid that was programmed to do that, like Sirhan, when that happened, there was a preview to another movie where bullets came from the screen at people in a movie theater that they were watching on the screen. A movie theater of people getting shot up, and then a couple minutes later they were shot up. Like it's meta levels of
I think that was a Nick Nolte gangster movie, something,
right.
mobster gangster. Yep. Yeah.
Right. And and now they use that as a fear element in the new Batman movie, which is titled Joker. And it's all about the Joker guy and his psychopathy. And it's all about, that kid was tortured as a child and raped and shit. And like, and then we feel compassion for the bad guy. And then everybody wants to be like the bad guy. I've got a good friend that's got green hair. And he's like, sometimes you just want to burn the world. I'm like, where'd you get that, dude? What the, And he's like, oh, I'm an anarchist, man. And he's like, no gods. And I'm like, dude, what? Like it's tough. Like, especially drinking with him. Like, you got to try to tell him this shit, and he doesn't want to hear it. But because he's been programmed by the movies, So the same thing. Like, this Blade Runner is programming us to think like this is the future. We got to have learned helplessness. It's just gonna happen. Like,
the
AI
future.
is real. Right. Yeah. The year 2000. I don't know if you know Conan O'Brien, but like the future is this magical thing, this place of human slavery, child slavery, total desolation, trash everywhere, eating grubs, like owned by technocrats, like what
oppressed by all powerful police and military, and not for you're gonna have the military control.
I
want to bring up that every once in a while, I know, Francesco, you bring up these films as post-apocalyptic films, and Blade Runner gave some of that, showing the San Francisco fucked up. I mean, San Diego, is a trash city, and then the way the Los Angeles, everything. But then when knowing what we know, apocalypse revealing. So the truth. So after the truth comes out, that's the shit right there, because the truth is out there, the rulers and the slaves, the haves and the have-nots. That's post-apocalyptic. It's not a thing of like Road War, freaking, scouring for gas and fight. No, there's certain way that you look at post-apocalyptic. It's like, yeah, they are telling you what's happening because the truth is out there.
They're telling you,
bosses,
they're telling you that Master Blaster runs Buttertown. They're like, Master Blaster runs Buttertown.
yeah.
Exactly.
Who runs Buttertown?
yeah.
And that's the argument they don't want. They don't,
right.
For Master Blaster, right? They still want you to think that Queenie, whatever runs it,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, we are living in post-apocalyptic times, so
pretty much like it's happened. It's been revealed. Like, we don't have to convince people. Remember, we were trying to convince people about chemtrails and like, just look around, it's there. And now it's like, these people are like, wait a minute, the vaccine doesn't work and they want us to get another one and we can't leave our house. And like, it's finally sinking in. Like, holy shit, we're slaves. And that's great. Now we don't have to fight that argument anymore. Now we can all, lock arms and work together and like, get that freedom going. It's about time.
You talk about chemtrail. I was thinking the movie Don't Look Up, but it's like, just look up. Just look up.
We need
there's a song in there, Just Look Up.
Yeah. But that is another thing that we were kind of like, flirting with talking about on another podcast, because that is like meta levels also of like warfare. It's meme warfare. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring, like, this is the Blade Runner episode. I just want to get this out. Like, what do people do with DiCaprio movies? They make memes about it. Like, what are the biggest memes? They got the money guy throwing money off the boat. The Django where he's like, ha ha, with his little teacup, and like that. So they're using the meme guy, and like they have the way that it hits so hard for him to tell people the truth. Truthers are going to pick that up and use it in their meme warfare of like, look at this. But then in the end, they're all laughing. It's a cult mockery because you're using a meme of a movie that we inculcated all these fucked up beliefs into you. Like, humans, like the planet hates humans and humans are cancer. Like, humans are stupid and they can't do anything right. And, like, it's inevitable. We're all going to die. And like, it's this nihilistic, like, inculcating into people that like, and it gives learned helplessness and shit. So like, there's other levels of, even though they're not talking about chemtrails specifically, it's also getting our subconscious with these beliefs. So when the power elite sees us use those memes, they can laugh at themselves and be like, see, they're using our shit to tell us something, but they're using the ammo that we gave them, I think it's planned, and I think that it's a higher level of mockery. That movie is full of meme warfare. Like, it's just meme ammunition like crazy. And like, that's what movies are now. Like, look at The Big Lebowski. Like, you think about, and people recite lines from it and they all remember that scene. So it hammers into it. It cements into our brain this idea. And so that's what they're doing. They're creating that for the future. And people are going to use little clips out of this movie. Like when he's screaming at the people, like, oh, you're all stupid. And why can't you see the truth? Like, people are going to use that. Like the Network movie, like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it. Go to your window. People still use that. It's like such a potent meme. And that's what they're creating for the future. And I think that just in us watching it and the fact that it holds our attention, our subconscious gets all that other shit. It gives them 2 hours to shovel it all in. It's warfare. It's for our minds. But we could talk more about that in a different podcast.
Yep. I see it as it's a mirror. That movie is a big mirror to society. They watch it and they'll be like, oh shit, yeah, that is us. That's how I saw part of it too. But yeah. Right.
But I mean, if you think about it, the people in Hollywood and the Ariana Grandes and all that shit, they're singing Greta's tune. They're not singing the fucking, the conspiracy theorist tune. Like, that's how they fucked it up, and they got Hillary looking like Trump, they're swapping out so that people hate everything. You know what I mean? And it's just fucked up, man. It's total warfare. And like, the more I learn about that kind of shit, and like how you understand like these dark magicians are really just psychologists that use ancient psychology to give us self-loathing and fear to control us so that we hate ourselves and become compliant slaves, that's what it's really all about. It's not like the fucking global warming and shit. That's fake. Fossil fuels, that's fake. All these fucking overpopulation, that's fake. Like, all these things people got to worry about. It's fucking even scarcity, that's fake too. Like, it's like these are all illusions, and especially authority, that's fake. And that's all the shit that we worry about. Once we let all that go, it's like the Buddhist meditating. It's like, fuck. It's nice to get rid of that shit.
This ties into that Blade Runner 2049, then bringing it around, because in there they showed those polarities, because all that open area where they have those solar panels and all that, but yet in the cities they have everybody living together. Right. There's your overpopulation. You don't need all that fucking shit. You get rid of all those panels and you got all these people having their own homes and communities, all that shit. So
all you got to do is tear down the wall.
Tear down the wall.
Yeah.
As the lieutenant says, whole society is built on a wall. Yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck that bullshit.
Yeah.
And remember that we said, and even the movie, remember the Blade Runner 2049, when the blackout will happen in real life.
Right.
So
that's another thing. The years
correctly.
Like keep your shit in a Faraday cage, and write it down on paper. That's another thing. Make a book. Like, holy shit. But the guy in the beginning, Sapper, who gets killed by Joe or whatever, he's like, how long have you been here? And he says, since 2020. And then when the blackout happened, that was about 30 years ago. About 30 years from 49 is 2020 also. 2019, 2020. And that was when the miracle happened of the birth of the child. And that's when the blackout happened. So that's like when the new world shifted into this reality that they were living in.
World.
The reset.
Exactly. Right. The
Maybe reset. that's why Decker was able to switch the records and everything, because all the digital keeping was done. So on paper it was like, it was born a girl, So since the technology was down, that's when you can get away with the shit.
Right.
Maybe, right? See?
You're right. Yeah.
That's so I guess just one thing I've noticed in the first movie, in the end, the end scene right before the credits, they are running
Which one?
Yeah, exactly. Because
the original, that's the thing that bugs me. I like the original theatrical cut with the narration,
that one,
and the driving into the up north. That's I love. I don't like these
driving into
cuts
the
and final cuts. No.
Yeah, they're driving into the along the coast, so in the woods.
Yeah.
So there's the nature and the wilderness. So that was interesting. Still
that's
some of
right.
that.
In this film, the girl that plays Terminator, Mackenzie Davis, that hooker, she's never seen a tree, because he's showing her a picture and she says, "What's that?" It's a tree. Well, I've never seen one before. Yeah. Nature doesn't exist in that reality.
Yeah, in that reality, it completely doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know.
Well, there was that tree, the old dead one, that was like
it was dead,
and then the guy was like, the guy who was analyzing the little wooden piece, he's like, "That's real wood. You're a rich man." And he's like, "I'll sell you a real horse for like a little piece of wood." You know what I mean? Like, it's a replicant of a horse or whatever, but still, like, the way that they value nature, And if you look at like occultism, like at the tarot cards and shit, the tower is the destruction of the old world. And if you look at like the Rider-Waite deck, the people are like falling out of the tower, you know, it's like the Tower of Babylon or whatever, getting like struck by Gabriel's horn, you know. But as they fall, they're grabbing for little pieces of grass. And like, that's what's going to save us if we go back to nature. That's what that's telling us. Like, we have to start again with nature and work with the natural order instead of like having this tower to Babel and where we think we can be God. You know,
that's what's funny, and not ha funny, but funny like, whoa. As we're recording this, it's Thursday, January 6th.
Oh, yeah, the 6th.
Yeah. But last night while scrolling through some YouTube stuff, I came across a news report that in San Francisco, there is a Millennium Tower that's leaning, that's tilting, that they were trying to do something with the foundation, and it's leaned 4 degrees and it can tip over. It's interesting. You're talking about towers and leaning and people, and I'm like, something happening with tower right now in the news.
So yeah, that I did a podcast with Occult Rejects. I was on the Occult Rejects show and telling them about the tower of like in 9/11, that was the prequel. I mean, that's like the beginning of their psyop, right? The Twin Towers were destroyed. And then in 2016, Trump was just a joke. And on the cover of the newspapers, all the major newspapers had a burning tower in Dubai. And I was like, why is a Dubai tower on the cover of every news? And it was January 1, 2016. All those newspapers had that. And I'm like, that's occult symbology right there. That's the tower card. The tower card is the 16th Trump card. I'm like, oh, Trump 2016. And like everybody was like laughing, what a joke. Trump will never get in. But then like they gave it to Trump, and the tower card is the destruction of the old world. They're saying to everybody, all the occultists, they read the newspaper every day, giving them the symbol like, hey guys, we're giving it to Trump and he's going to destroy the world. We're going to get rid of our whole financial system. We're going to get rid of all this. We're going to start the new world order with Trump, and he's going to oversee it. And he's going to be there for the division and the tearing apart of the old system. And he was, and he totally did his job, and he gave them their MAGA jabs. And, you know, now Biden is president of a new world. Like they have a fence around the building. You know, they're occupying the American leadership with guns. And it's not a normal election, obviously. And it's not, they're just taking it now. And now they're just pushing us off the cliff. And so we are in the time of the tower. It's already passed. The tower has fallen. And now we're just we are going to reap the symptoms of this cause that they have put into motion. We're going to feel the effects now. Now we're going to have the famine because they made everybody kill their pigs and made all the people dump their milk, and they fucking, Bill Gates is buying up all the fucking food, and Monsanto owns all the food, and so like they own all the trucks, like they can shut down the trucking on the drop of a hat, and everybody runs to get toilet paper. Like, so they totally have us in their grip, and now they're just pulling the noose, and it's happening. So I say we run back to nature, get your plants, plant your cannabis, because that's real money in the new world, because fucking your Bitcoin is nothing when they do the blackout. So
yeah,
just saying. Little black pill, sorry guys.
Not blue, not red, black.
Yeah. Ruthless black. Yeah.
Were those jujubes? Was it gummy bears or jujubes? Something like that. Had the black ones.
It's a goddamn Twizzler, man.
The black Twizzler.
Yeah.
Francesca was like, what are they talking about? You've seen the Twizzlers and the black ones. The black.
But you probably got better stuff in Italy. Real candy over there.
I suppose so. You know, we are we're little good slaves. So you know, there's not gonna be. I don't think there's gonna be any supply chain thing going on here.
Right? Yeah, they're just gonna feed you like good little dogs. They're just gonna give you the gruel.
Yeah, we earned it. You know,
good boys.
Yeah, both of those things you said were in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
because once that female hit woman whatever beats up Joe in Vegas, and
she
he's
says
down
good
there,
dog.
it's good dog.
Right.
I was like, damn, there it is again.
Right. And cops are dogs. We know that from Passio's work. Like, just to say that again.
Yeah. So yeah, any final thoughts or final words for this episode? Or
I'll just say it's a great movie. It's a well done movie. I mean, box office wise, it didn't do everything like they expected because it was too cerebral. It was a little too long, 2 hours, 43 minutes. But for those people that, you know, eyes to see and ears to hear, yeah, there was some good stuff in there that people were like, wow, it's deep. And like you said, Sean, I'm taking it the way Francesco said it in one of our last podcasts, Denis Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve, he says it so fast. But yeah, that guy, there's people out there. We didn't touch much on Freemasonic and stuff when I showed you the covers, the blue and the red.
Right.
But I think there are people that are in Hollywood that, again, like everything else, the balance for good, for bad, or just to make money, or just kind of sneak things out to the public, or, you know, that karma thing. Like, look, we know the dark occult, the Freemasonic stuff and everything. Here, it's out there. So we warned you, or with predictive programming, we did our job. If you choose to do
Mens rea,
so there's filmmakers that do that, I think. And he's one of them. And like you said, Aster Ari, another one. So there's films that are good, not big blockbuster films, but movies that make you think like, oh fuck, yeah, there was some good
and they're visually great artists. Like, if you take into account just the frames, like each frame is a beautiful picture. And so there's that too, you know, like Kubrick gave you amazing photography, and these people are really good. Like the use of color and the space, like having like a clean, open landscape with just dust and color with like a solitary figure. Like it creates a tension and it tells more of the story to you. There's a lot to visual elements and color that affects your brain subconsciously, and these artists are good at that. They're not just like slapping it together like Wu or the fucking, you know,
Michael Bay.
Those people.
You can look at their filmographies, and that's indicative. And Ari Aster doesn't have a long filmography, so Hereditary and Midsommar, but you can get a good feel, both the opening credits or things that with the drawings and paintings that are predicting what's happening in the film. You're like, oh shit, so symbology, that's there. And Denis Villeneuve, you can go through his filmography, and the ones that come off the top of my head. So Dune, Blade Runner 2049. You have what was the other? Prisoners was a very good one. Oh, right. If you watch that with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. But then he also did one called Arrival. Arrival is another great one with Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams with the alien thing. Again, the way it's filmed, the tone and the story, these films, you can tell the filmography, you can start seeing a pattern in there.
The sound is big in that Arrival movie too, with the fucking and with Dune as well. Like, it's very powerful. It's just, and it gets to your bones. Like, it gives you a feeling. Like,
with this one too.
Blade Runner.
Filmmakers know how to use the senses.
Yes,
where you can see, it's not just what you see. The regular common film goer, okay, what they see, and then some of what they hear. But then when you see something, your eyes are picking up in the corner, like, wow, look at this picture of a monarch butterfly. Now that's triggering your brain, your thinking, your emotions, you know. And then with what you hear, I know M. Night Shyamalan did it brilliantly. This last film, Ode, in a good theater with good
that.
digital surround. There's things like you said that the sound works with the film where things are moving around you for certain effects, and it's like wow, so that's artistry where it's not just here's a story, here's a picture and a sound. No, where it really freaking gets very deep.
In those comic book movies, they just zoom in on what they want you to pay attention to. It's like it's trash. Like with like Terry Gilliam movies, everything is in focus. He's got wide angle lens, and you can see everything with like precision. Like, what is that little knickknack over there in the corner? You know what I mean? And then all of these things like add to the story. Like with Terry Gilliam, it's just like so much for your eyes to look at. Like even like look at Fear and Loathing. Like it's just like it's a spectacle for your eyes. Like everything is happening, and it's all this across the whole screen, and there's all these images and ideas, and it's like it gives you some more to chew on. It's like a real thing, a real piece of art, instead of just just trying to make money from Hollywood. Like you pay $12 or some shit to go to the movie theaters nowadays, and then and then it costs like $8 for a popcorn, and it's fucked up, man. And then they pour all those chemicals on it. Like, what is in that butter? Like, who knows?
Butter-like substance. But the opposite or the other end of that, what you were talking about with Terry Gilliam, I'm thinking of Sucker Punch, because that Zack Snyder film, Sucker Punch, was very popcorn, very glitz and glamour, visual effects and everything, and the pretty girls and all the action. But then, like I think Francesco, right? I played that last clip. That was the main thing. 2 hours just to get to about 10 seconds of dialogue at the end. That was the illumination part where, what's the solution? What's the answer? You've had the power all along. So you go out, fight. That's it. The whole thing just for that. Whereas other movies, there are things all over the place, but other films use all the glitz and glamour to distract you and make you look over here when the answer is just going to be right here. Like, wow, this whole
or you look over there.
Or
you look over there and it's a Coca-Cola sign and it's a Shell sign. And it's like just fucking
Michael Bay against Transformers, or it's
even in this one,
Xbox, Xbox 360 that turns into a robot. It's like, ooh,
even in this one was made by Sony, right? Has Sony behind, right?
Collaboration, Sony, Warner Brothers.
In fact, they have all the product placement for. They have the jukebox is
right.
It's a Sony and etc. There's a Sony.
Sony probably owns
the billboards.
Frank Sinatra's like whole catalog.
Beyond the music library.
Anyway, I think we can close it here for today. And interesting discussion, and it's a great movie to see. So I hope we sparked a little bit of interest for it. And as always, remember that the solution is to break the chain of obedience, not to obey, but to disobey. So
that's right.
And maybe digitally somebody will download this and save it somewhere, burn it onto a disk, and then after the blackout happens and all the power is reset and comes back on, they'll watch this and be like, oh shit, these guys are talking about the movie, talking about a blackout. That's right.
We haven't gone away. So
and they'll be like, what movie they're talking about? I don't have it. It's disappeared. Like it's all fucking erased.
The internet doesn't exist. There's no Voodoo. There's no Apple TV. What the hell happened?
Right.
I no longer own physical media. That's why I look behind. That's why I own all these things. That way, if the grid goes down and the internet shuts down, I can still put up at least one solar panel with a little screen and a little Blu-ray player and still be able to access this stuff. Because if they shut everything down, where's everybody's information? Oh, it's in the cloud. Oh, I just go ahead and watch, on my Zoom or I'm in Voodoo or Apple TV or YouTube. Like, no, they shut that down. Everything's gone.
And it's like, it's not changeable. It's done and it's put on a shelf.
That's it.
They can't go back and erase part of it. And like Kindle does, like they erased 1984 off of people's Kindles and they're like, what happened? Huh? There's just to see if we can.
Disney doesn't like females' butt cheeks, so the 1984 movie Splash with Daryl
Disney
Hannah
loves
walking,
female
they
butt cheeks.
digitally, well, yeah, in another context, they digitally extend her hair to cover her butt cheeks on the digital streaming on Disney Plus of Splash. Is like, wait a minute, in the regular thing you can see her butt, so it's nature.
And like the ET, they took the guns out of the hands of the cops, and they just got walkie-talkies now. It's sacrilege what they're doing. It's
the Star Wars is all the digital
Star
changes
Wars.
to the original Star Wars.
Right.
So
it's sad. And now Disney owns Star Wars, dude. It's people just got to give up on that shit and stop going to the movies, you know.
Except for people like me, I go not to be entertained and be like, ooh, wow. I go and be like, okay, what message are they putting out? What allegories are in here? Because people just go just to give them the money and be like, oh, night out for the family, you know, a family of 3 or 4. Shit, you're dropping 50, 80, $100 right there. It's like, fuck.
Crazy. But I did go to see The Dead Don't Die and Midsommar, and I dosed big for Midsommar, and holy crap, that was an experience. And just the art of it, like I like to experience the art. Like it's
some things are meant for the big screen,
right? And then later you go and look at it again and you see all the stuff, you know, or you know. But in the first viewing, I like to like feel it and have it happen to me, you know. I don't know, it's great.
And audience participation is important. Right. As much as they want us locked down and watch it at home with your family, is not the same thing.
Right.
That
it's
energy.
Good.
That energy of people, the laughing, the cheering, even the crying, some emotional stuff.
Right.
But then the negative,
getting shot up together by the MK Ultra guy.
No, but then the negative energy is when that sex scene is happening and everybody's, you know, now there's like, you know, that tension because they're sucking on those sexual energies too. You know, there's
and
a
it's
reason
weird
why
because
they're
all replicants having sex with each other, and like it's a program computer and a replicant, and it's like humans watching, and then like, what is happening? Are we supposed to be aroused? Or why are they fucking? Like, it's odd. Like, but it's the movie. Like, the movie wants to use the feeling of arousal to make us ready for the next message that's coming. You know what I mean? Like, it's anyway. It's a magic trick, basically.
Yeah.
Like a movie theater, a darkened theater is a magic space. And you give your consciousness to them for 2 hours, and it's all black and no sound. It's sensory deprivation except for what they give you. So it's total control of your perceptions for those 2 hours. So there is a lot to it. It is like, it's not just for artists, it's for magicians too, you know, and sometimes you get the rare person that's both. I think Ari Aster might be one of those. And, so like they're, you know, it's good to experience these things and to understand what they're doing. And that way the beliefs of, you know, the blight and the blackout and stuff, you'll recognize that it's social justice programming, whatever shit, like in your brain, so that it won't affect you the same way that it affects other people subconsciously. Your conscious mind will be able to pick it out and be like, nope, that's not going in there, you know. That way you can keep your conscious clean, you can keep sanity, you can sanitize the insanity, Ivan. You can keep your brain clean with clean information, with a good filter of critical thinking, you know. And that's if you have that critical thinking and you have the knowledge of occultism and magic and like the mind, and you know, you have the understanding of the subconscious and like how it affects your actions, and then you can have a conscious filter and you can see the good art and you can still give your money to the good artists, you know, and you'll be able to experience it, and you'll be able to know what others are being programmed with, and you can still enjoy the good art. It's a nice place to sit. It's like better than giving all your consciousness and accepting it all as true. You know, you only accept what you like. Oh, that was a beautiful picture. And no, I don't believe that it's inevitable that AI is going to rule the world, and like, you know,
or that we're going to end up all crammed up in
exactly
in cities without the possibility of with
Right.
with a wasteland outside and possibility to go out.
And like the people watching already have the idea in their own worldview that there is overpopulation.
Yes.
And then when they go in, it's reinforced, but for us, it won't be reinforced because we don't believe that shit, So it keeps us sane.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going. Don't think I'm going ever gonna be going in a cinema at the theater anymore. So
probably not. Yeah,
I don't have that. I don't have that problem of deciding if going or not going, because I'm not going. So whether I want it or not. So the new world order rules. So
you got some tyranny over there, man.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, slightly, very, very. Anyway, yes, I think let's close this up, and so thank you guys for having been here once again, and catch you all next time.
All right, later.
Bye.
Thank you.